Today, I'm going to be surviving 100 days in 1.20 Minecraft Hardcore, exploring all the newly added features such as the camel and bamboo blocks. Anyways, enjoy the video. Day number 1, I spawned in next to an acacia village and a pink sheep. What are the chances of that? Let's quickly grab some wood, craft up a wooden pickaxe, and now let's collect a ton of cobblestone, so I can upgrade my tools. And afterwards, I collected a ton of coal, promptly followed by making my way over to the village so I could loot it. I crafted up a stone hoe, and now it's time to get lots of food. I went around looking for some potatoes and carrots but had no luck. So instead, I kindly borrowed some iron from the iron golem. I'm sure he won't be needing that. I spotted a jungle biome off in the distance, so I ran towards it. This update brings new bamboo blocks, so I went out looking for lots of bamboo. I collected some more melons and crafted bread as well as a stone sword, and now it was time to collect a ton of bamboo. Right after I collected bamboo, I found a mangrove swamp, but now it's time to go out and explore, looking for a place to build up a base and live in this world. Whilst exploring, I found another village, so I took the villager's bed and slept. Day number 2 began by collecting more hay bales, and then I continued my journey looking for a location to build my base. Instead of making everyone sit through the exploration phase, with a little bit of editing magic, boom. After running around for a while, I had now found the location where I would build my house. It was now day 5, however, we still had lots to do. We were now in a village surrounded by some cool mountains, and on the opposite side was a snowy biome, which looked cool as well. First course of action I took when moving into this village was making a bamboo farm. This is so we could get a ton of bamboo for when we want to build the house out of the bamboo blocks later on in this world. I emptied out my inventory into a chest, watched a zombie burn, and then made a bucket with some of the iron that I had collected on my journey. I collected some water, then tilled out some land so I could start building a crop farm with the wheat seeds that I had also been collecting, which was then followed by collecting some more wood, and I also started a small sugarcane farm. With the new stone hoe that I crafted, I decided it would be a good idea to finish off the farm and till the land that I couldn't do the previous day as my other hoe had broken. I expanded out the sugarcane farm as well, which began my next goal of mining out a staircase in hopes to get down to the diamond level way easier. It took a little while mining out this staircase with stone pickaxes. I also had to spend some time going back and forth crafting more pickaxes as my stone pickaxes would slowly be breaking during the process. Crafting more pickaxes just allowed me to continue mining out the staircase. However, eventually I got bored of doing this, so I stopped mining out the staircases so I could go ahead and start looking for a cave to mine up some goods. I found a somewhat large cave entrance in the ground, so I quickly mined up a tree so I could craft a new pickaxe. But then I got ambushed by a baby zombie, which sent me low on health. I upgraded my wooden pickaxe to a stone one, collected more cobblestone, upgraded my tools, and collected more coal, which then followed by me entering into the cave, where I could start mining up some goodies such as iron, where I could then craft a shield to stay protected whilst I mined up more iron in these caves. I spent a good amount of time fighting off annoying mobs as well, whilst mining up more iron. Soon I discovered a massive cave which I couldn't get down without dying, so I had to find a way around this issue by mining into the cave roof. I found a safe-ish area after I jumped down where I could now place down my furnaces to smelt up all the iron that I had collected, so I could then go ahead and craft up some iron armor and tools. Whilst I continued my exploration in these caves, I also found something pretty cool, a raw iron block. How rare is that? I collected more iron until whilst I was fighting off a ton of mobs, I realized iron armor just wouldn't do the trick if I wanted to survive a whole lot longer. So that's why I decided I wasn't going to leave the caves until I had enough diamonds to craft full diamond armor as well as diamond tools. This was going to take a very long time, however, it was necessary. This was something that had to be done in hopes to survive in this world. After mining a few diamonds, I found a zombie spawner. So I fought off some zombies and then looted the chest, getting diamond horse armor, some name tags, some melon seeds, along with some other loot. However, we still had one goal in mind, and that was to get more diamonds for the diamond armor and tools later on in this video. Day after day, I ran around mining up more and more diamonds, and as I did, the total diamond count that I now owned was also slowly increasing. I also found another spawner which had some loot inside the chest, but besides that, I went ahead and got more diamonds. I took a small break to go and mine up some obsidian, so later when I decided I wanted to visit the Nether or get an enchant table, I could easily do this. Before returning back to the surface and using the newly obtained diamonds to craft up some diamond armor and tools. We were now one step closer to becoming invincible in this Minecraft world. All the bamboo that I placed many days ago had also grown, so I decided to break it all down and replant it to repeat the bamboo growing cycle, or whatever you want to call it. And now with the bamboo that I collected the previous day, I went ahead and crafted it all into bamboo blocks. I wanted to start building up a house, but the area that I wanted to build the house on wasn't flat enough or big enough, I guess you could say, to actually build up this house. So I spent a few days using multiple iron shovels, going back and forth collecting dirt so I could easily terraform this land into a much better area where I could build up a better house where we would spend most of our time during these 100 days in. This was quite a boring and repetitive process, but once it was done, it was done. Wow, who would have thought? But yeah, I can now start building the house. Now, I want to quickly warn everyone watching this video. This may be the worst thing I have ever built, or maybe one of the best. Who knows? But pretty much what I'm trying to say here is I completely suck at building in Minecraft. I wanted to be a bit quirky with the style of house I was going to build, so I started with the doorway and then added a roof thing coming out of it, where I would then use bamboo to hold this roof up. Like I said, I was trying to be quirky here. Now that the rough shape of the house was complete, it was time to start working on the roof. Originally, I wanted to build up a roof out of bamboo stairs, but I decided to scrap that idea and build the roof out of stone brick stairs instead. I spent a long time collecting cobblestone. I smelted up the cobblestone into stone, turned that stone into stone bricks, and then crafted up some stone brick stairs, which I could then go back and start working on the house with, adding the stone brick stairs onto the roof. It was at this point where I logged out of the world for weeks, and later returned not knowing where to start. I ended up crafting a shovel and then went out exploring, collecting some sand. Eventually, I found some sand on the side of a river, so I collected it and returned back home. I started smelting the sand into glass, where I would then start placing it in the walls of the house. And not too long later, the house was pretty much complete. I really need to get better at building. Like I said not too long ago, I had no clue what to do in this world now, so I spent some time doing random tasks such as farming. I then went ahead and collected lots of wood from the trees and replanting the saplings everywhere, followed by making a melon and pumpkin farm. Later on, when I start getting villagers to trade with, I could expand this melon and pumpkin farm further to make us more emerald profits, and finally become rich in this world. Since it had been a while since I was last in this world, I also forgot that I had already collected obsidian. So I kind of went back down into the mines, found the lava pool, and started collecting more obsidian. Another 14 to be exact. And using all the materials that I had left, I crafted up an enchant table, and since I had 24 obsidian left, what better way to use it all than make a massive nether portal. I built up the nether portal, lit it, and then went inside to then be completely boxed in every single side, and I was forced to mine my way out. For a little while, I spent some time mining out a massive strip mine in one direction in hopes that I would get out of this area. However, it turns out that the direction that I decided to mine in was the correct way, and upon leaving the strip mine, I found a nether fortress. I explored around the nether fortress for a little bit, got into a fight with some mobs, and then I decided it would be a good idea to craft up a shield so I could then fight off some more mobs such as blazes without taking as much damage. Soon after exploring, I found 2 more blaze spawners next to each other, and then went ahead and started collecting some blaze rods, and after collecting a total of 13 blaze rods, I decided it would be a good time to go ahead and collect some ender pearls. Since I was in the nether, it would be a whole lot easier collecting them now than coming back later on. Getting low on food, I tried taking as little damage as possible to preserve all my hunger. But besides that, I spent a long time in this warped forest biome trying to find endermen to get ender pearls from. Each minute passing, I would bring more and more endermen to fight, until I was stuck on 4 hearts of health and no food to cure my hunger. So I decided it would be a good time to return back home. I had no intention of dying in the nether today. Returning back home, I looked inside the furnaces and I was greeted by by some cooked mutton that I cooked a few days ago. Since the massive nether portal was a bit ugly, I thought it would be a good time to place some nether related blocks around it so I could make it look a little better, or at least make it stick to the right theme. I placed blocks around it, mainly netherrack though since I had so much of it, and after completing it, it wasn't great but it would definitely do the trick. And now it was time to locate the stronghold. It was finally time to visit the end and find the ender dragon, and whilst there, also collect the elytra. I did some farming, collected some more food, and then finally, it was time to locate the stronghold. I threw my first eye of ender, and it was now time to go find that end portal. Throwing multiple eyes, most of them actually broke, which would end up being a problem later on, but besides that, I collected some coal on the way, and not too long later, the pearl changed direction, so now I had the task of mining down and locating the end portal. Upon locating the end portal after searching the stronghold for a good amount of time, the problem that I mentioned earlier finally occurred. The portal required 12 eyes of ender, and currently I only had 6. So using the lava spread around the end of the portal room, I built up yet another nether portal and went inside. And now I would have to revisit the nether, this time equipped with more food, searching for another warped forest biome, which was actually quite a bit closer than I thought it would end up being. I fought off some endermen, collected more ender pearls, and returned back to the stronghold, where I placed the newly obtained eyes of ender and entered into the end. Using a water bucket and extra blocks to scale the side of the obsidian pillars, breaking all the end crystals, it was a fairly simple, however repetitive task. But once it was all done, all I had to do was wait for the ender dragon to perch so I could damage it and ultimately take the finishing blow, taking the ender dragon out. Strangely, I tried collecting the egg, but unfortunately it went through the end portal, so I can't get that egg until I would eventually return to the overworld later on. Make sure to comment down below reminding me to collect this dragon egg in 200 days. I towered up to the end gateway portal, ender pearled through, and now it was time to go ahead and look for an end city that would supply me with an elytra, some shulker shells, as well as some decent loot. I cranked my render distance all the way up to the max and then started running around. I found an end city off in the distance, however, it didn't seem to have an end ship, and I also didn't want to bridge hundreds of blocks across the void, so I continued my search off in other directions. However, even though I ignored the first end city, good things came my way, because not too long later, I found the brand new end city, and this one featured an end ship as well. Completely skipping the main part of the end city, I towered straight up to the ship, went inside, looted the chests, and took the elytra. I also collected the dragon head, and now it was time to go into the main part of the city and get a few shulker shells to craft up shulker boxes, as well as loot some of the rooms, getting some extra loot. Until afterwards, I had collected everything I really needed, so I returned back to the end gateway, pulled through, and went through the end portal, returning back home. Overall, it was a pretty successful trip. Now back in the overworld, the first thing that I really did was crafted 3 extra shulker boxes and emptied out any other loot that I really just didn't need. I returned back to the nether, and using an efficiency 5 iron pickaxe that I got from the end city, I started collecting a ton of netherrack that I could use to build something later on in this world. Also, instead of digging out a massive room, I decided to just increase the heights of the strip mine so I could use my elytra easier when I visit the nether later on in the future. Something that I hadn't done in a while was fishing, so what better way to spend some time than doing that exactly? I dug out a little pond, added some water, and now it was time for me to do some fishing. I had already done some fishing, however, once again, I forgot to start recording. Before I started fishing, I crafted up a fishing rod and enchanted it. Besides that, I spent a good amount of time fishing at the pond, later changing things up by farming at the melon and pumpkin farm. To use my elytra properly for the very first time in this world, I went ahead, used all my gunpowder and sugarcane to go ahead and craft up some fireworks. And then I started flying all the way to the stronghold because instead of making a massive cow farm, I was just going to simply break all the bookshelves in the library of the stronghold. It was quite a simple task, honestly. After locating the library in the stronghold, breaking all the bookshelves, and obtaining all the books that I would need, it was time for me to fly all the way back home and collect a ton of wood from all the trees that I planted a little while ago. I then started digging out a room inside of one of the hills. I cleared out the areas so I could then move my enchant table into this room. I then went ahead, crafted up some bookshelves, and placed the bookshelves into that room surrounding the enchant table, so now I could get a level 30 enchant enchant table. After doing some smaller things like adding more details to the Nether portal, farming, and collecting more crops, it was time to start a bigger project once again, and that was going to be collecting villages so I could get rich in this world with emeralds and also get other useful trades such as mending. The farming that I just did would go towards trading with the farming villages that would end up giving me 1 emerald for every 20 wheat that I traded them. They also had a few other trades similar to that. I moved some villages into a hole into the ground where they would probably spend the rest of their lives, or at least until I decide to build a villager trading hall sometime, maybe in like 200 or 300 days. I went flying around, finding sheep all across the world, shearing the sheep for their wool until eventually I would return back to the base, turn all the wool into beds, and place them into the new villager hole as well so they could breed more, which would end up giving me more villagers in the future so I could get more trades. It was pretty simple. And then it was time to try and get the mending trade from the villagers. For some reason, the villagers kept taking in turns trying to get the library trade. But after a bit of trading, I decided that the iron golem was getting in my way. So I hit it thinking that I could get out of the hole easily. But I got stuck and the iron golem sent me down to 1.5 hearts. But luckily, it also knocked me outside of the hole. That was a very close call. So I pillared up and started killing the iron golem. Get out of here, iron golem. You nearly ruined my entire world. Well, technically I ruined it myself, but anyways, I continued trying to get the mending villager trade, and after some time, I had finally gotten the trade. So I used all the emeralds that I got from trading with the farming villager earlier and traded that with the mending villager, which in total gave me 2 mending books, and finally we had a mending villager that had the trade locked in. Very successful. For the next few days, I just went around doing nothing too much but trading with villagers. And in this time, I also repaired my elytra since it now had mending on it. And since I had the repaired elytra, I thought it would be a cool idea to go flying around looking for more villagers to steal their hay bales from. I would fly around to a ton of villages that I would find hidden in the mountains, hidden in the ground, anything that I would find, and I would mine up all the hay bales that would be scattered around the village. I would then turn these hay bales into hay and trade with the villagers so I could get some more emeralds, which I could trade for some good items when I returned back home. And after a long time flying around looking for all those villagers and trading with all the villagers for some emeralds, I returned back home to get another 3 mending books by trading with my librarian villager. Not bad at all. I would say that's a pretty successful last few days. Now, villagers aside for a little while, I decided to go out and find another mine where I could collect a few more diamonds for whenever I may need them in the future. I also haven't got all the diamond tools in the game yet, so maybe that's something that I could end up spending my diamonds on. Just getting a diamond hoe or something. That's a great idea. But anyways, when I got back to my base, instead of crafting up all the diamond tools, I went straight into the Nether, revisited the Nether fortress so I could go ahead and start fighting wither skeletons to get 3 wither skulls. This would take us quite a while. Maybe instead of getting wither skulls in the future, I should probably get looting 3 on my swords or something along those lines first. I kept running around fighting all the wither skeletons until in the end, I would ultimately have collected 3 skulls. So I could go ahead and get myself 4 soul sand and return back to the Nether portal. I decided to dig down somewhere in the mine and create a strip mine in the cave walls. So it would end up being a whole lot easier for me to actually kill the wither. Although I'm really just not scared of the wither at all. In fact, it's probably not even too much of an issue. I would rather be safer than dead. You know, we're now 80 days in this world, and if we died, well, that would kind of be a problem. We've all seen this before. I fought off the wither, slowly damaging it, and whenever I thought I'd be getting close to low on health, I would just run back easily and eat, healing up all my health. That's why I decided to make a strip mine, because we could run away really easily. Besides that, I kept hitting the wither until I took the last few hits on it and defeated it. Now, we had a nether star, which we could turn into a beacon later on. I went running around in some of the caves around me to fight off a ton of creepers. At this point in time, I thought the easiest way to get gunpowder would just be running around in the mines fighting off a ton of creepers, because we really just didn't have enough time to build up a mob farm in the rest of these 100 days. However, this is definitely something that will be done later on in a future episode. After collecting a ton of gunpowder, I located all the sugarcane that I had been farming up in the previous days and crafted up some more firework rockets since I'd used all of them when looking for those villagers a couple days ago. But now that I had all the fireworks, I I could go ahead and fly around and look for one thing and one thing only, a desert biome. Not too special, however, the desert biome is home to something very, very special, a desert village. But okay, you may be thinking, why do I need a desert village? After all, my main base is already in a village. Why would I need another one? Well, in the 1.20 Minecraft update, something pretty cool was added. That's right, a camel. I found the village, located the camel, and then I put the saddle onto the camel, which I brought from home, and now there was only one thing left to do, and that was to bring the camel home. I was going to have to ride the camel all the way back home, so that was going to take a very, very long time. But that's what I had to do, and I guess whilst I bring this camel home, we can discuss what we should name this camel. We have a few name tags back at our base, so give us some name suggestions in the comments down below. I guess the top comment that suggests a name in the comments section will win, and in the next video, I'll name the camel whatever that name is, if that makes any sense. It should. After bringing the camel all the way back home, it was a very long and tedious task. I was going to spend the next few days off in the Nether. However, before I do that though, I revisited my enchanting room to re-enchant my diamond pickaxe so I could get a better efficiency level that could instantly break the netherrack when I was in the Nether. When in the Nether, I was going to collect two items, netherrack and ancient debris. It was simple as that. Remember earlier how I said I was going to collect a ton of netherrack for a build that I would do sometime later? Well, I was probably going to need a whole lot more blocks for that build. So what better way to collect netherrack than by collecting ancient debris as well? I tried a few methods in getting this ancient debris, such as blowing up beds in the Nether, but I ended up using the simple route by breaking all the netherrack, looking for the ancient debris using my diamond pickaxe. But eventually, it was day 100, and we collected this amount of ancient debris. Not too bad, but I don't think it'll do, so we're gonna have to do some more collecting in the next video. That was 100 days in 1.20 Minecraft Hardcore. Make sure you subscribe. Let's hit 200,000 subscribers. And if you enjoyed this video, then you should watch this one next.